As Gandhi said,
Oh, you too. If it ain't Gandhi, Jesus Christ.
an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. I believe that wholeheartedly.
No, it doesn't. There'll be one guy left with one eye. How's the last blind guy gonna take out the eye of the last guy left, who's still got one eye? All that guy has to do is run away and hide behind a bush.
Gandhi was wrong. Just that nobody's got the balls to come right out and say it.
My first awareness of you is in Annie Hall.
Yes.
Annie Hall, a really funny, interesting, romantic comedy, but your character, Dwayne, is not having a good time.
No, and it's a great movie.
It is.
Yeah, that was really the first time that I was in the movies.
But do you remember on Annie Hall what that date, that first time Woody Allen was directing you
Sure.
to do this?
I
What was he
only
doing
worked
there?
on the movie for 2 days.
Yeah, but they were some days.
One was the scene in the bedroom, and the other one was the scene in the car.
What do you remember about it?
Sound of shattering glass.
I remember that Woody Allen was there. I don't remember him ever saying anything to me. I remember looking over, and he would be over in the corner reading a book. And even the audition, I knew there was somebody in the room. He was sitting back there someplace, but we never spoke. He was watching me, but never said anything.
So you don't
To
even...
this day, I've never spoken to him.
I want somehow there to be another meeting, because it looks like
No, I
you
think
would have
it-
said something, you know, especially when you're in the car and that thing is the windshield wiper and it's you want to drive into the lights of oncoming traffic.
No, I remember one day I was sitting with him someplace and there was nobody around and there was a silence, and I suppose I was trying to fill it. And I had been reading a book about, you remember Bridie Murphy?
Mm-hmm.
The woman who claimed to have multiple lives. And I said to him, you know, I'm looking at this book about Bridie Murphy, and that might be sort of a movie, don't you think? And he said, reincarnation would be good news for us all.
The Deer Hunter, which comes almost right after Annie Hall, right? It's
Immediately.
Like, it's right there.
Yeah. And in fact, when we were doing the Deer Hunter, we were in Seattle, driving to some location, and we passed a big poster for Annie Hall. And that's my first realization that I was in the movies.
Mm-hmm. And so then the Deer Hunter comes, is this nerve-wracking to you?
No, it was great.
Great.
Yeah, everything about it was great. To be with those actors, and you know, those locations were fabulous. We were up in the Cascade Mountains in Washington, and then we went to Thailand, and it was really an extraordinary time.
It sounds very joyful, but in the movie itself, nothing is. I mean, it's Russian roulette. You're
Yeah,
holding
and
a handgun to your head.
Yeah, and being in the jungle and all that, but still, for me, it was all brand new, and I was very lucky to be there.
I remember watching the movie and having that feeling when you were all playing pool and doing Too Good to Be True, and that there was a time to stop this movie for a musical interlude that these guys would bond together to.
Yeah, it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah. You're doing this, you were in choruses, you did these shows, this is all happening, but the Deer Hunter is nothing like that. I just wonder what happens to your head. What happens under that plumage when everybody is there saying, yes, Chris. Does your head expand, or did you, because you had done this for so long?
No, I think I went a little, you know, overboard.
Well, I'm happy to hear it, because
Yeah.
well,
those were
shouldn't you?
the 80s and early 80s. And sure, I was around, you know, Studio 54 was hopping, and absolutely. But, you know, hopefully you settle down and take care of yourself.
Well, you have, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's good that that happens. But you settle down again, you then get a lot of roles where you play characters who are disturbed in some way. Do you resent that sometimes?
No,
when
you
people say
know,
it?
to be an actor is a tricky thing to decided to do because there's so many wonderful actors and they don't work. That's very, the unemployment rate in actors is huge. And for a long time, I looked younger than I was. And as I get older, suddenly now I'm starting to play uncles and fathers and grandfathers, and it's a different territory now. It's nice. I'm in a picture called Late Quartet that's coming out.
Just saw that with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yes, really.
And
Yeah.
it's a different part. It's it's a human being. It's not, a guy who wants to take over the world or sink San Francisco or, the a lot of the guys that I
Well,
played.
don't knock those. Those are, those are your two Maxes to me. I really love Max Zorin in A View to a Kill. I think that guy. You had the really. Did you dye your hair or was that a wig?
No, that was they bleached me. I had to walk around like that for 6 months. But I was in a little town in Italy, up in the mountains, walking on a dusty road, and this woman with her little boy were coming the other way. And when the kid got to me, he looked at me and he said, "Max." And I thought, that's the power of movies. In this little village, that kid knew Max.
It's the James Bond thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Are you a Bond fan?
I am. And I
You-
think Daniel Craig is great. He's a wonderful Bond. And Roger Moore was a beautiful man. My friend, I loved working with him.
And the other Max you played was for Tim Burton in Batman Returns, right?
Oh, that's
Max
right,
Schreck,
Max
right?
Schreck.
Also the blonde hair.
Well, he was gray,
Great.
and that was a wig. But Max Schreck is the name of the actor who played Nosferatu in that great silent vampire movie. Max.
Max. Well, there's something Max's in you doing that. But I didn't. You mentioned it in passing about the dancing, but you did. That was what you were trained to do, and in Pennies from Heaven, we see you do that incredible. Pimping out Bernadette Peters and dancing on a bar.
I've been in 3 or 4 musical movies, which is a lot nowadays.
Yeah, they happen every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that was Pennies from Heaven. I did a musical of the story Puss in Boots. I played the cat.
Comes back to the cat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's actually
see,
one of my
that's-
best performances, I think.
Really, Puss in Boots is
Puss
the
in
one.
Boots. Nobody's seen it, but
That's
it's really
right.
one of my better
You hear
ones.
that, people? Puss in Boots, Netflix.
I've made a lot of movies that I haven't
Never
seen.
Is that on purpose, Chris?
No,
what's
no,
the-
they just don't come out.
They don't come out. They just.
And then
don't
years
they invite
later-
you to screenings and things like that?
They don't have the screenings. They don't open.
They just don't open ever.
Yeah, and years later you're surfing the movie channels and they'll pop up. That's not your boyfriend. I said, look at that. You cut that out of a magazine. And she said, yes, it's true. It's this guy named Elvis. And I said, well, you can't talk to me like that. I said, now you've got to go to the prom with me. And she said, yes.